There I was, minding my own business, having a little bit of lunch here on beautiful Casco Bay, working away in the sail loft, and what do I get but a little note that said, "Hey, you ought to check this stream out." And okay, guess I will. So this is what I jumped into, and this is what I got. Bingo, bango, bongo. This guy, Skylar Fiction, you all know him. I don't know him from Adam. He don't know me from Adam. He's got 6,000 subscribers. I got you fine people who I like to welcome to the stream every now and again. But apparently, my dear friend Maya was saying that he had an interesting topic. I was going to start out using, colloquial phrasing. So I tuned in and golly gee, this is what I found. And it seemed rather tame to begin with. But let's see. Let's just
happening.
Can I throw in on that again?
Please.
Remember when I said, hey, I think your right and your left are talking past each other and I'm a fucking foreigner? Yeah. What do you... All right. So you just had that thing 3 years ago on January 6th, yeah?
The riots in the Capitol?
Yeah.
Yeah, from Trump, yeah.
Cool. What do you think is going to happen in 2024? They're going to do it again. They learn. These fuckers will not stop.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think that they all the prison sentences they put out, no one's going to even step foot, and they're not even going to get near it this time. They're going to have that place walled down, dude.
You've heard of...
I love it how our left wing thinks they won't do it again. I mean, how fucking naive do you have to be? Are you serious? Really? You don't think they're going to do it again? You don't think that there's 30% of the American public that have enough of a hard on for Donald J. Trump not to do it again? I think they probably do, to be honest. But that's just my point of view. And golly, how perceptive of an Aussie to have a better insight on American politics than this guy. 6,000 subbies. He's saying, no, they won't do it again. And I'm a liberal. Oh, really, dude? Are you serious? Anyway, that's not why Maya wanted me to jump into the stream, but this is what I found. This is what I listened to. This is what I.
About them shooting up infrastructure all through the Washington state selectively, haven't you?
No.
Cool. These guys will not stop.
Who are you talking about?
Remember,
shooting up
the right. Again, I'm an Aussie.
Okay, but what are
the
you
right?
About?
Yeah, I have to be generalization talking about your country because I'm not there.
Yeah, but what group are you talking about that is shooting in Washington? That was shooting up people in Washington. What's the group?
No. I don't know whether they found them or not, but a group of people was selectively shooting up infrastructure. You shoot up enough substations, the entire grid goes down, and there's nothing it can do about it.
I think he's actually confusing North Carolina.
They're learning.
They believe they were linked to like a right-wing group.
Yeah, this is basic terrorism. Yeah.
And we're how many years past 2016?
There'll always be a reason for terrorism. It doesn't matter whether it's over gender, race, politics, religion. There's always going to be a reason that people are going to do stuff like this.
Wait, whoa, hold.
Remember that really not
for just a second. Aside from Stonewall, maybe the Compton cafeteria riots, when the cops were busting queer people right and left, can you name? I can't. Can you name me a gender riot? in the United States of America? That people are terrorizing the populace by going out there and marching in the streets aside from pride parades? And can you show me some violence there? Gender, race, I mean, geez, I'm crow, bud. 0.2% of the population is getting you to clutch your goddamn nuts. And that's all you're doing. What's wrong with you? 6,000 subs. Jesus Christ.
Nice guy in Germany. He had a fuck up. And they put him in jail. And he didn't stay down.
Yeah, it's a little bit more complicated than that, right? Because
yeah, I think Peebo's talking about Dolphy, but I might be mistaken. That guy in Germany, I don't know. There was the red wave and shit, but I think he's talking about Dolphy. And Dolphy got put down because of the Munich beer hall putsch. And he stayed in jail for what? 12 months? Was he in jail for a year? I don't remember. I probably should remember, but I don't remember.
Just a little bit, right? Because what they also did is they brainwashed children since birth, right? To get them to where they had the Nazi youth, and then they could do stuff like that.
No,
so
that
it's a bit more
Hitler youth, but okay, that's true, but there are children being brainwashed from youth right here, right now. And there's a whole political party to the idea of keeping books away from youth right here, right now, that teach them about American history, that teach them about slavery, that teach them about the Civil War, the way the Civil War actually fucking happened. You don't think the youth of America aren't being brainwashed? You don't think that that's the reason that your state, this dude lives in Orlando, from what I come to understand, from his own narration, your fucking state is taking books off of library shelves, and you're sitting there saying that the youth of America aren't being brainwashed? Are you cray? I think you might be.
Complicated than just he did this. Like, it's a bit, and I don't know what the point of all this. Like, I agree, Hitler's awful. We shouldn't have people like Hitler. This has nothing to do with the conversation.
You've got an orange fucking Cheeto doing the same playbook, and you don't
literally, he's got four indictments. He's 3 indictments in. We're about to be in.
Yeah, but I think Peebo's original point was Hitler actually did jail time. Hitler did jail time. I mean, but he got out and he rose to power anyway.
Different governmental systems, right? Different governmental systems, and we
left out all
really.
He used the fucking brown shirts.
Stephanie, welcome to the
There's
show.
a parliamentary system,
yes,
but
the brown is so much more. This is not okay.
Yes, it's complicated.
I agree, but I don't know what the overall point to all of it was. Like, we were talking about politics in America, and I get your think Trump. I just disagree with you. Trump's not going to have that power. He's not going to win again. He won't even win the election.
He doesn't have to.
What do you think, they're going to take it over by force here? These right-wing militias are going to try to take over our federal government?
Why wouldn't they?
They don't have the power. And
yeah, but that's what the Insurrection Act is for.
Yeah, they won't be. Yeah, they won't be able to. They're not going to be able to do it in this country. You got to think our government's already got these guys.
You do know how close they came to succeeding.
They didn't come very close to succeeding. They're not going to take over. They weren't going to take over.
I'll tell you, the only thing that stopped the January 6th thing from creating a crisis was Mike Pence's refusal to accept the fake electors.
So the rule of law. That's right.
No, one guy.
The guy who followed the rule of law is the one who stopped it.
But it was one guy.
It would have been illegal if he had done the thing that Trump wanted him to do. All Mike Pence
do you know what the plan
don't
was?
ask me a question. That's correct, right? If Mike Pence had done the thing Trump wanted him to do, it would have been illegal of Mike Pence, correct?
Can I ask a question?
Who would have stopped?
Okay, we don't want to answer that question. Apparently,
Sorry.
This is how I can tell when I
didn't hear a question. I heard a declaration.
I know. The question was, would it have been illegal if Mike Pence had done what Donald Trump asked him to do?
Yeah.
Jefferson answered it. Stephanie, yes.
It would have been unconstitutional. Yes.
Exactly. So the
but
law.
Who determines what the constitutionality is?
So once again, the law stopped this from.
Apparently, I'm supposed to answer the questions, but Skylar here believes that he's exempt from that, from reciprocating in any way, shape, or form.
Happening. What you're saying is that if somebody would have done something that was illegal, they would have had a chance to take over the country.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So, as Stephanie pointed out, and thank you for the edification, Mike Pence stood up and did what was right. Cool. So some nutter who was swinging around a podium had managed to connect that with Mike Pence's head. Would Mike Pence have been in position to uphold the rule of law?
No, we'd still have a Supreme Court, and we would still have federal overview of all this. It wouldn't mean that just because these idiots, just because the idiots get into our Capitol building doesn't mean they've taken over the government. That's why I'm saying it's silly to say that.
Yeah, I suppose just because they've taken over the Capitol building, that doesn't mean they've taken over the government, but they sure as fuck stopped the government from doing anything for a great long period of time. Meanwhile, they literally shit on the floor and spread the shit all over the walls like a bunch of fucking monkeys. Skylar, really? 6,000 subs this guy has. Seriously. No. Tell me, people. And he won't answer a simple fucking question. He can't see what's in front of his goddamn eyes. Must have his glasses smeared with shit or something. Really? Come the fuck on. By the way, I gotta say hi to people. I haven't been watching the chat because this really glossed my groin. I'm cheese and crow. Palm Dad, hi. Big Mama. Big Bad Mama, it's so nice to see you. You see love always. Jay, it's nice to see you. AR, oh golly, it's just I'm glad you guys are here because I've been fretting about this all day. I didn't get to go sailing, so I didn't get my jams up because there was no wind whatsoever. Last night there's thunderstorms. This night there's no wind. So here I am thinking about this guy all day long. So I gotta get it out. And if Maya's around, can jump in. I'd love some edification and somebody to basically stroke me on the hair, pat me on the back, say, no, he's really okay. But boy, oh boy, this, by the way, again, you guys may not all know this dude. I don't know him from Adam, but holy crap.
Say that they're taking over,
Skylar.
No, you're just claiming there's a subtlety. Doesn't
no, I'm asking a question.
I'm not claiming anything. I think you're missing what could have happened.
Listen, lots of things could have happened in history, right? But it didn't. We stopped it because of the rule of law, because we have protections in place. All you're doing is coming to me, Skylar, and be like, listen, something bad could have really happened. Okay, right? I don't disagree. He's a bad guy and terrible. I don't vote fucking Republican. Right? I don't agree with these assholes. So what's the point?
The point is, like what Pebo had mentioned earlier, they're learning. So the next time they can try this, the thing that they could have done, what could have easily happened, if Pence had tried that, it would have been unconstitutional. Whether or not he would have faced any legal penalties, who knows, because no VP has ever tried to do that. But if they'd done that, it would have thrown the count into a delay, which would have allowed Trump and company. No. The plan was Mike. Maya,
You are in the room. I am adding you to stream. Add to stream. It's say on here. Click button. Add to stream. Hi, Maya.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Hey. Thanks for getting me involved in this stuff and raising my blood pressure. It was getting a little low. And
Thanks for coming. Well, look, I'm
oh.
always saying that. Well,
Who is
I was
this
arguing with
guy?
Skylar in the chat.
Who is this guy?
Skylar's been in the community for quite a while. I think he still does debates on MDD. Yeah, Amy knew him. She modded a couple of his debates, and he's been on my show once. I've been on his show once or twice, but he's mainly known for like back in the day when he had like Dr. Josh when he first came into the community. He's doing a lot of biblical critiques on Skylar's show, and they have done a couple of debates together. Like they're kind of besties.
That's nice.
So it's like kind of weird, like watching Skylar be. I don't know. He got mad when I called him a red state Dem, but it is like a type of demographic where you're getting pounded with all this like right wing rhetoric, while you have these leftist values, and so they kind of get morphed. So you see these like good people with bad strategy, usually. So Skylar's come out. He made some questionable critiques about the Black community, about the pagan community. There's another one I was thinking about. But, it's like I was saying to you in the DMs, I was just like, normally he comes on and we yell at him a little bit and he was like, okay, I'll think about it. And then like, that's the end of it. I know with being trans, it's not intuitive if you're not trans. And I'm at work. I can't jump off and yell at him for a proper amount of time. And I didn't feel like I was a good person to do that. And so,
yeah. So here's the thing. I jump in and it's a political debate. So I start talking about politics, right? And just all I was talking about was politics. So it's particularly about January 6th and the insurrection and the fucking fascists who are a clear and present danger that even Peebo recognizes as a clear and present danger.
Yeah.
Says they're going to do it again. Skylar here goes, they're not going to do it again. It's like, huh? Of course they are.
Yeah. No, that's actually common rhetoric.
Of course they are.
From people on the left, actually. And
then later on in the stream, after basically I'm sorry, Maya. There's a little bit of a lag, and
no, you're fine.
Every now and again you break up, but the first thing he says, first of all, we're having what I took for a colloquy back and forth and all of this, and at some point in time, I don't know whether he's too stoned and he kept referring to being stoned. It was fucking noon, and I don't know what his drill was, but he basically kicks me out once, and then just you'll see. It's just the experience was unbelievable.
No, 100%. And seriously, everybody in the chat was shocked.
Well, again, I really wasn't watching the chat.
No, I know.
But I couldn't believe it. I just couldn't believe it. I don't know the guy from Adam. He wants to, in theory, listen to all sides and hear political points. And it's a political discussion.
Well, me and Aunt Jira were screaming at him in the chat, like, you fucking idiot. Like, this isn't like, he got mad at us because we were like, you're looking at this from a cis white het lens. This is white privilege. And like, he flipped out. I grew up poor. How can I have white privilege? It was nuts. And I'm like, all right, like he's mad at me. Maybe he'll listen to someone who's actually gone through the experience. Like, you don't know him. You could be more objective. And because I always yell at him, I always smack him around. Like, there's been a couple of times when I've been yelling at him, and then like I started a fire in the chat that I had to clean up because I'm a mod. Like, that's actually happened more than once. So like, I don't know. I was thinking maybe he's just like pissed at me, and maybe he'd listen to you. And I did not. If I thought that there was like a possibility of what happening, like there's no way. Like I'd never call you to like jump in a Pine Creek stream. I mean, I know you'd like jump in gung ho with both feet, but like I wouldn't ask you to do that.
Actually, I enjoy talking to Doug. Strangely enough, I do because Doug will
Also, fuck that guy.
even though, and maybe it's because I know I've seen enough of his MO to understand what he is going to do. What I was not prepared for with this dude was the outright animosity and the outright. I mean, he doesn't know me from Adam.
Right. No, that was
And
weird.
I'm
Very
trying to
weird.
make an argument, and he's basically, well, let me just play this for the people watching here. I mean, it's I don't know. Maybe I should, maybe this is the wrong. Maybe the wrong barking up the wrong tree. I hope you will tell me if I am.
I was,
but Jesus Christ.
I was there. I wasn't really understanding. Like for me, it just kind of looked like you had a good point, and he didn't want to admit it, and
Pence
started
says,
obfuscating.
well, this is it. My time in here is rather short.
Right.
Mhm.
He's
Wait,
right on
wait.
what happened.
Okay.
What the plan was is different from what would have happened. And I
They
don't know
had
why
two-
you're making.
I'm
a different
going to
distinction.
tell you what would have happened. The
Are you
plan
talking
was,
about
and what
legally
would
or
have
what the
happened.
plan? No.
what-
Stephanie, you're talking about the plan. He's talking about legality. What would have happened?
I'm talking about the Constitution. If the vice president said we had accepted these electors and said the House gets to decide this, by virtue of the fact that the decision is reached by state delegation, not by majority, Donald Trump would have been named President of the United States by the House of Representatives on January 6th.
They would have challenged it. They would have challenged the legality of Pence being able to do it, and it would not have gone through. That was exactly what Jefferson just said. So you told me what the plan was again.
Right, but that would have created a massive crisis of legitimacy for Congress and for that, and Donald Trump would be running around just like he is now, declaring himself the winner.
Listen, he's awful.
And the semi-sane people in the administration, one of them said to Cheeseborough, well, that'll cause riots in the streets. And his answer was, that's what we have the Insurrection Act for.
Yep.
So the United States Army could put down that. So it would have gone from, well, I won't say it wasn't a violent insurrection because there was violence on January 6th itself, but would have been widespread violence. And it would have been, it would have been catastrophic. And we came this close. That's the threat. The threat is that. The threat is that people are willing to push it that far. 30% of the population thinks that Donald Trump is the second coming of Christ.
Yeah, it'd probably be good then if the left didn't eat itself alive, right? And divide itself and not want to reach out to people that are more conservative or people more in the central position. Right?
I've talked at great length to Pine Creek.
But I just said
atheist right winger. I mean, I've talked at great length. I reach out all the time.
Yeah.
But as I said, as someone who's on the outside looking in, neither side in the great context of like lumping it all into a big abstract group is actually doing that.
Well, I'm looking at that's just not really.
You know, what do you think? We don't reach out? Are you kidding me? I mean, no, I don't reach out to Donald Trump supporters because they're unreachable. They're mostly people who will do things like what they did on January 6th. If I reach out to that person, I could reach out to them personally, but politically, they're basically going to just stand by their man. What are you going to do in that circumstance? You think somehow or another we're going to come to terms with somebody who wants to overthrow the constitutional government of the United States and put a shyster like Trump in charge? How does that work? How's that work?
I don't understand this point of view. Whenever I encounter it, I just think people have their head up their ass. The way I interpret, it could never happen again is like I'm either too stupid or don't care enough to think this through, and it's not really going to affect me. So, it's not worth thinking about. Hashtag politics are boring. I mean, that's how it's always, the argument is always presented to me.
Right.
So I don't, and I put in the chat earlier, it's just like, oh, and yeah, speaking for Aunt Jer, she was saying that it started with her saying, it must be really nice to have the privilege to talk about these things like casually or something. She was saying to that effect. And then he got mad about that. And I'm like, Skylar, some of us don't have the luxury of just being able to talk about this. Like, even me, I'm not trans, but I know that I can't turn my back on this. If the right gets their way, if they are successful at abolishing any group, it doesn't matter who they are. I'll stand with the natives. Like that's actually a genocide going on too. And if they get any group, it's going to embolden them to come after others. And Black people are always on the fucking chopping block.
You're on the chopping block now. You're being disenfranchised. Yes, you're being, in a state of Florida that it's so gerrymandered that, every district is a majority white district. And you can't get any fucking representation. It's not that these people are working on one tip. Trans people just happen to be at the tip of the spear in their rhetoric, but in their deeds, in their legal deeds, is it against the law? This is the other thing. It's like, well, I point out a little bit later in the stream, everything Hitler did was perfectly legal.
Yeah.
Perfectly legal. Why? Because people make laws. Bigoted people make laws that get rid of undesirables and put them somewhere. Bigoted people in the United States make laws. The whole war on drugs was essentially, as John Ehrlichman put it when it started, that the reason that they did the war on particularly marijuana was to get rid of two groups, the hippies and the blacks. It was a deliberate move to incarcerate people and get them to shut the fuck up. This isn't new in American politics, and anybody who doesn't really, I don't know what's wrong with people. I don't know how old do you figure this guy is? Mid-40s, late 40s, 50s? Something?
He's 3 months older than me.
I mean, how the fuck can you forget?
Yeah.
How can you forget that stuff? Or blithely ignore it. And I think Aunt Jer is absolutely right. It must be nice to have the fucking privilege to just sit there and blithely ignore American history. That's why the right wants to take the goddamn books out. And for somebody to assert that they're liberal and not be outraged about that is a little bit disturbing. What the fuck is it? 6,000 subs. There must be a lot of people who enjoy this kind of head in
there
the
are a
sand
lot of
politics.
atheists that like the debate me bros of the Christian versus atheist, which is how he got. And then there's a lot of atheists who like the biblical scholarship. That's how he grew his numbers. But I mean, it wasn't on stuff like this. Like, he doesn't have right wingers in his site, like as followers, not yet anyway. Like,
But
you saw everybody.
the reason I jumped in was because, the reason I jumped in was that you said he's spouting a lot of right wing nonsense.
Yes.
From a supposed left wing perspective, and it's like
he's a registered Democrat.
I know. I see. He said, I don't vote Republican, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, okay, but you're willing to let them get away with it. You don't see what they're doing. Somehow or another, you're blind to what is happening. And on top of that, he goes off on the repeats typical right-wing perspectives as to gender and sexuality, which comes along later in the stream, which apparently came along earlier in the stream, and I missed that part. I was expecting to jump in and have somebody saying, well, do you have a dick? You're a guy. It gets to that later because, it's like,
because he's refusing to understand nuance, but he started with,
but he doesn't understand nuance in politics. He doesn't understand
bullshit.
Nuance
And what was interesting to me is like gender was a big deal and it was bullshit all at the same time. Just like how do you square that circle?
Hopefully we'll get to, I hope I can find the part where he goes into how exciting it is to have a gender reveal party as a parent.
Yeah.
I mean, he's basically making this case. He said gender doesn't mean anything to me. And right. I was there for that. Mm-hmm. Right. Let's just play a little bit more of this stuff.
Like, that's not true, because I think Jefferson would probably agree with me on this one. Dude, the Democratic Party has ideas. Like, they have positions. Like, they have particulars they want to get done. They just don't have an always filibuster-proof majority, because in the Senate they need 60 votes, and do they have? No, it's like, are they 59 right now? I can't. But you have to get 60 votes, which means within their own party they don't have agreement, right, on some of the stuff. And then but the Republicans don't have a platform, bro. All they have is anti-clean energy, anti-immigrant, and
I didn't say
pro-military.
Republican or Democrat.
Well, that's our two parties in the United States. That's
you also have social groups.
Yeah,
you also have social groups.
They're less than 2% of our population or the other parties.
You
What's
also
social
have.
groups?
No, I don't know about that though. I mean, if you consider, like, I'll put this 2 cents in, and I've got to go because I'm on lunch right now. But
thanks for coming by, though, bro. It's always good to talk to you, have a fun conversation. Yep.
I just wanted to say, like, I think people's kind of partially right. I mean, left and right in the United States are always really confused. The Democratic Party as a platform basically has a kind of typical kind of neoliberal center to center right kind of platform, pro-enterprise, but also with some regulations, some social safety nets, that kind of stuff. The Republican Party 30, 40 years ago essentially had a similar platform, but then they started putting in more kind of the socially conservative culture warrior kind of stuff in there, where they were going to, every once in a while something goofy would get in there, but it was essentially pro-enterprise, but with fewer safeties. We fiscally responsible. We need to cut social welfare, these kinds of things. And the debates between those two parties, and left and right in the U.S., were kind of based on the idea of government spending. Do you have stuff being spent on people that need it, or do you cut that stuff so that corporations aren't hindered by taxes, and everybody makes tons of money, the trickle-down thing. Now, there really isn't a right and a left in the Democratic and Republican parties anymore. The Republican Party, because it's just sort of surrendered everything to the personality cult of Donald Trump, has basically left everything to the culture war social stuff, and they're not even really talking about tax cuts or real policy. The Democratic Party still has a platform, and it's still relatively conservative, and then they have kind of a left wing that wants to push for even more social spending or environmental protections or things like that. But on the culture side, if people are talking about like LGBTQ plus issues or any of this kind of stuff, that stuff is not, I mean, part of that is that the Democratic Party platform has some language in there that kind of pays lip service to that, but you won't see a lot of Dems like trying to campaign on that. What Dems are going to end up campaigning now on is they're going to be following whatever lead comes from the Republicans who are going after, say, like abortion rights, which they've been doing to the detriment of their own party. And all Dems really have to do in several key states is just run on like, hey, I'm not that guy. I'm not going to ban abortion.
That's a smart move by them. That's the Democrats got to run off.
And it's insane to me that has become kind of the extent of the difference between the quote unquote right and quote unquote left in this country, is that Republicans want to ban certain kinds of birth control for all women, and the Democrat can win just by being like, nah, bro, I'll pass on that. And they can win. So
that's how they're going to win.
I think yes, the results of yesterday's election in Ohio point that out.
Yeah, that was an encouraging.
There's a 20 point rejection of Republican efforts to require a 60% majority in any referendum that would seek to amend the Ohio Constitution. And the Republican, you want to talk about the rule of law prevailing. Well, the Ohio State Legislature, the Republican Ohio State Legislature, enacted a law making it illegal to have summertime, odd elections. Like what happened yesterday was illegal in Ohio, but a citizen initiative to amend the Ohio Constitution to enshrine in constitutional law within the state a provision for protecting abortion rights got on the November ballot. So what did the Ohio legislature do under the rule of law? They changed the law so that they could have this fucking election to make it a 60% requirement in order to so amend the Ohio Constitution.
Like when you say like the rule of law, do you mean you don't want rule of law? Is that what you're saying when you mock it?
No, I'm saying who makes the law.
No, what I asked, but you keep using this weird.
No, it's all legal. Everything they did was legal. I'm not saying that. That is the rule of law. And if you change the law, everything that Balky did in Germany was legal.
I know you don't want to hear the question.
I'm answering the question, Skylar.
What was the question?
Why did Stephanie use a funny voice was the question.
Jesus,
I gotta get going, guys. I'll see you later.
Why did I use a funny voice? Is my audio bad?
No, I think it's maybe something in there. That head of yours, that might be bad.
No, I'm not. If you want to go ad hom on me, go ahead.
I'm trying to go ad bad. You seem like you're not following what I'm saying. I asked a question, and then you seem completely oblivious to what the question I asked you, and you told me you were answering the question.
I referred to the rule of law, and now you're on that tip. I was drawing an example.
And I asked you, it's a rule of law. Are you against the rule of law?
And I said, I am not against the rule of law.
So why are you so focused on the rule of law now and telling me what the rule of law can do?
I am focused on the rule of law because people make the laws. And an example, I'll try to say this as slowly and carefully. Did you see what he did there?
Oh, yeah.
Guys, did you see what he did there? Is there anything that I said that was obfuscatory, that was evading his questions, that was doing anything other than pointing out that the rule of law is determined by the people that make the laws?
I didn't understand.
And that the rule of law can be made to incarcerate people you don't like.
Right. I understood.
Is he really that stoned? Or is this just, you all watch modern day debates or something like this, and people come in and, oh, well, you're all with modern day debates, and you're all with this and that, and we're all friends here, and we love you, subscribe to your channel and all this bullshit. I'm done with that garbage. I'm fucking done with it. I'll be honest with you. I don't need to I don't need this kind of garbage coming at me. I don't need ad hominem attacks. I don't need it. I don't need it. I'm very fucking sorry. But if you think you can sit there and play dumb, you go right ahead. I guess it's working for you. Maybe I should try it. Maybe I'll get up to 6,000 subs and monetize my fucking channel. But god damn it. That's a hell of a way to sell your soul, Skylar Fiction. Find another fucking publisher. Find another fucking something. Did he ask me who I was? Did he ask me my history? Does he know anything about me? I didn't know anything about him, and this is how he introduces himself. Mocking me. For being an intelligent human being who's actually asking questions that he can't answer.
I really don't understand where he was going with that. I mean, because it didn't make sense even when in the context of this
the
situation.
Law in Ohio,
Yes.
passed by the Republican state legislature was,
Yes.
we only have one election day a year. It's in November.
Yes. I agree.
The Republican state legislature changed that
Yes, you said that before.
to changed the law.
Yes.
So now the rule of law is
Yes.
we can have an election in August.
Great.
Special election. No special elections at any other time of year except for November.
So you
Okay.
just explained
They passed that, and then within less than a year, because a citizens' initiative was to be placed on the November ballot to preserve abortion rights within the Ohio Constitution, the Republican state legislature changed the law. So now that's the rule of law that everybody gets to follow.
How many times?
You're not. You're filibustering me, dude.
I haven't even said anything. I've been silent as you keep repeating yourself over and over again. I'm not trying to be rude, but I don't know what your point is.
Well, then you haven't. It hasn't gotten through
You're just trying
to
to give
you.
me,
But my point is not. My point is not to be.
I'm not aware of what happened.
My point.
I
My
follow
point
news.
is not.
I know what happens in the news. So if you're just trying to tell me what happened, I already know.
No, I'm
If you're trying to
talking
tell my
about not
audience
only
what
happened in
just let me
news,
know that's what you're trying to do. If you have a particular point that you're trying to argue against, let me know what the point you're arguing against is. If you're just trying to give information to my audience.
Pat, is anyone in chat right now missing the point I am making? And does anyone in chat think that Skylar had the slightest fucking idea of what that point was? He said he heard it, but he sure as shit didn't understand it. He kept asking me, do you respect the rule of law? I said, yes. Who makes the law? Did he ever answer that question? Fuck no. What did he do instead? He sat there and mocked my voice, mocked my appearance, mocked all sorts of shit. What did he do that for? He's never met me exactly more than 2 minutes before 2 minutes before, and the 2 minutes I spent talking to the guy. It didn't take 5 fucking minutes for him to start throwing out ad homs. The fuck? I don't know what to tell you guys, but this is the kind of content you enjoy. Don't come to this channel. Don't come over here. I'll have an argument. But I'm not gonna let people sit there and get away with this kind of stuff. And I'm not gonna let people sit there and lie to my face. Tell me, well, it's not hurting anyone. Yeah, and when I say it's hurting me, you're gonna say, well, it shouldn't, I don't want to hurt you. But But what if everybody say, it's okay to hurt Stephanie? It's like, well, it's nothing personal. It's like, it seems personal to me. That was the exact line of reasoning I had with Doug in that conversation. Well, what if everybody agreed throw trans women out of sport? It wouldn't hurt anyone, would it? Expect so. Expect it might. Would you still object? At least Doug has the honesty to show where he stands. This guy, no. Just ad hom, just talk over, just say I'm dumb. I mean, Maya, got anything to say?
The last time I tried talking, you started the video like in the middle of my sentence. I don't know what you want me to say.
No, yeah, I'm sorry. You go. I'm not gonna start the video. You go. I'm gonna take the video off the screen.
I really don't know what to say. I know that let's see, 3 hours later, I was texting him and I'm just like, are you really trying to die on this hill? Like, you're factually wrong. Like, everything you're saying is factually wrong. And I sent him a video that actually had like 3 studies in it. Like, it was from a doctor. I think I sent it to you guys about last week. And what I liked about it is because it actually had studies to back up like what he was talking about. And I don't know. I know it's like a faux pas to talk about DMs or whatever. Fuck it. His response to me was just like, oh, did you see the studies in there? They don't say what you think they do. Or no, he's like, did you see the study? And I'm like, Skylar, there are 3 studies. And I sent this video to you. It's a 15-minute video to you. I sent it 20 minutes ago. So you're telling me inside of 20 minutes, you watched a whole 15-minute video and processed 3 scientific studies? Okay. What in which study do you have an issue with? And then it was just like, oh, I don't have a problem with the studies. I just think you're strawmanning my position. Like, I didn't fucking strawman you. I said you're wrong. So it's like, I denied, I rejected your position. Like, it's not a straw man. It's not a fallacy in any way, shape, or form. You were just factually wrong. And if you could give me an instance of anything you said in your live stream that was factual, I'll back off. And he was like, well, I said that gender was an abstract concept. And I'm like, you did not. You said that gender was, fuck. He's like, it was a bullshit concept, is what he said, like repeatedly throughout the stream. I was like, you said gender was a bullshit concept. And he was like, you're just lying on me. I can't have a conversation with you. So I clipped, because he allows it, clipped a segment, and I'm like, I this is what I hear. You can tell me if it's different. And then I did a screenshot of 3 different places in the chat where the chat was saying to him that gender was abstract, and a social construct. Like, I'm like, all right. I still don't see anything factual on the stream. And then he just stopped engaging with me. So like a lot of people have an inability to admit when they're wrong. And I don't know if he was still mad and he just didn't want to give me a win, but all I can say is like, this isn't like him. You know, I've seen him be wrong, and I've seen him not admit to it, and I've seen him change his opinion later to conform with the actual concept. I hope that's what's going to happen here. But it was really Pine Creek-esque. and which is scary.
Yeah, and maybe I'm just doing the wrong thing, even talking about it, because like I said, I don't know the guy. He doesn't know me. We got off on a very, very wrong foot.
Yeah, by all accounts.
Because he continued to mock me throughout the rest of the stream. I mean, he was saying nobody has any data on a whole bunch of stuff. I was pumping data into his chat on a constant basis.
Yeah. You and Nitty. Nitty was a fucking rock star in the chat.
And Nitty was a rock star too. I mean, I couldn't give actual references. But I have a folder on my computer of study after study after study after study compiled because I was on a panel talking about trying to work through for my national governing body for my sport how we are to address this issue, which this guy apparently thinks was started yesterday. Sports have been dealing with this issue
decades
for 35 years.
Yeah, but for him, it's just like we didn't used to talk about gender.
We didn't.
It was all just sex, and I'm like,
and whose fault is that? Nobody talked about gender when I transitioned 25 years ago.
Right.
There were methods and procedures and considerations and rules in place in every national governing body and in every world federation in sport that was an Olympic sport. There were rules in place. I conformed to those rules. I played by those rules, and nobody gave a rat's ass as long as I wasn't breaking the rules.
Right. As they should.
And now I have loonies running around, not knowing any of those rules, not knowing any of that history, not knowing the biology of it, not knowing the medical stuff of it, not knowing he goes on and on and on about the medical diagnostics and all of this. And I ain't going to play any more of his goddamn stream. I've given him enough time. But he's sitting there pontificating about stuff he admittedly doesn't know anything about.
Right.
To 6,000 people. And here am I trying to say, well, have you looked at it this way? And by the way, here's this study. Here's what the World Anti-Doping Association has to say about it. Here's what the Canadian Center for Ethics in Sport has to say about it. Here's what the World Physicians for Transgender Health have to say. World Physicians Association for Transgender Health have to say about it. Here's what the American Psychiatric Association has to say about it. Here's what the American College of Gynecologists has to say about it. Here's what professional organizations over the course of the past 50 years have had to say about it. And this guy pulls something out of his butt and celebrates, but isn't it nice? And says on his stream, isn't it nice to have gender reveal parties? A man who literally says gender means nothing to me, except I really enjoyed my kid's gender reveal party. This man has 6,000 fucking followers.
Yeah, which is interesting because even the gender abolitionists were like, we don't fucking care if you have a gender reveal party. But he's like, well, the left wants to control us. And I'm like,
I don't care.
Nobody wants
Shoot
to
up
control
fireworks and set the goddamn forest on fire. I don't care.
That. Like, except that the right always accuses the left of doing what they're doing. And I'm like, no, the left wants, you to do whatever the fuck you want to do as long as you let other people do the same. I don't know. It's like this thing they have. And I know like he's like surrounded by right wingers. I can tell it in his rhetoric because like all he does is regurgitate Fox News. And I'm just like, you have the internet in your hands. I don't get it. But I mean, he's always been like this. But like, again, which is why I wanted you to go in. I was like, it's not intuitive. Like I've had to teach my kids about like differences in sex and gender. My children, like they're in their 20s. I would think they should be teaching me. And like, so I'm, looking to you because you've taught me, like you like doubled my trans knowledge, like just in the short time we've known each other. And so I'm thinking if anybody can talk to him from a position of facts, because he's always talking about that to Christians, like, oh, the fact is this and the fact is that. And I'm like, all right, well, let's get him some facts so that he can see that he's factually wrong. And, even when it like I'm throwing him studies, like all you have to do is read them. Like that's they're right here in your hand. All you have to do is read it. It's just like, oh, well, I don't think they say what you think they say. Well, why don't you fucking read them and then tell me what they actually say?
Yeah,
really
it's
disappointed with him.
What do you think this has? By the way, I threw a link in the chat, Nitty, if you're out there.
Nitty, yeah, if you can.
I'd love to hear your perspective. I mean, it's just so goddamn frustrating because as the stream went on, it was all about devices not connected. Add to stream, Nitty. Device. Oh, look, Nitty's device.
There we go.
Your device is connected.
There we go.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
For coming. I feel so awkward talking about this because like all I can do is regurgitate the things that you two would have told me because I've learned so much from you. And Steph was there with me like was it 3-4 months ago when that he who shall not be named was like throwing a bunch of bullshit around and we were getting it left, right, and sideways from the community. But I was just like, you know what, fuck it. If somebody's going to not like me because I'm sticking up for trans people, then, fuck off. I don't need you.
Exactly.
But I mean, it's still like, I don't, part of me feels like I don't really have a dog in this fight. And I don't know.
Well, I've watched a lot of Skylar. And I was pretty surprised to see this whole like on Twitter. I was like, "Oh, Skylar, you're
doing it again."
You posted a high tweet, whatever. I'll just ignore it, right? And then he streamed about it, and I'm like, "What? To what? Like we're doing this?" And then like the other people he had on, I actually missed. Was there another woman that came on at some point?
Yes, and she was really quite good.
Jackie and Amy.
Yeah. So Jackie
and Amy.
I had a meeting, so I just couldn't listen then. But then I came back and P Brain was on, and I'm just like, my dude, you're convincing Skylar in the entire wrong direction. I was just infuriated by the stupid analogies like, if you look down and you have a wanga, if you have a dick.
It always comes down to dick. It really does with these guys. Honest to God, it simply comes down to dick. I mean,
that told me everything I need to know.
I had an hour talking with Dougie, and he's going through the zygotes. He's going through the chromosomes. He's going through. Never gets down to the genome, but he's going through the gametes, the zygotes, the other thing. And at the end of the day, it was about the dick.
Pretty much. And like, that just showed me immediately that this guy has no concept of the language separation of sex and gender. And he like the chat was like, that you're wrong.
The entire chat, like
And
nobody
the
agreed
panel,
with
it's,
them.
you know, the panel is going, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. It's
Every
like,
single person.
no, that's the language evolves, language changes to suit the better means of communication of newer knowledge. And it's
And
just,
maybe you have
are
a
you
warped
kidding
view of
me?
history if you honest to God think that there were never any like men in the past that didn't identify as women, or like you had no idea that like other cultures had more than two genders, or
For
like,
two
I mean, gender is a
millennia,
goddamn spectrum. Like, why isn't this basic knowledge?
at least.
In the chat,
It's a goddamn spectrum.
in the chat, I made the comments like, well, clearly the Bible understood gender and gender roles and sex. In that they were determined enough to make rules governing what each one could do and what
Right.
each one could wear, and how God would burn you in eternal torment if you didn't obey those rules. I mean,
Well, yeah, but I think, people that prefer binary thinking as well, especially the religious, just see those as one and the same because they have dick, do not wear dress, right? But really, like, when you step outside of that and you can recognize, like, well, maybe if there were just two morphological creatures that God made, that dick, penis, vagina, boobies, let's say those parts didn't exist, but the rules still existed, then that distinction would just be based on whatever categories the God put those two creatures in. It wouldn't matter, right? But no one sits long enough to go, oh wait,
No,
it's just arbitrary that the morphology is there, and
like, well, I have
the
penis,
accidents of
I can't wear dress, and your body will just like spontaneously combust if you put a dress, if you put like pink chiffon on it. Like, I don't.
Which even that
right-wingers really can't.
We couldn't dye clothes for like hundreds of. Well, we could like early on do like reds with like iron and like oranges with copper blended into shit.
Yeah, it was
and
really
poisoning ourselves basically.
It's really more for the rich though, like the common people.
Well, yeah, or fruit, like fruit just
Yeah.
being like part of like the tanning process or whatever. Or different like sea creatures.
Yeah,
It's
but
like,
I mean,
let's crush up these shells for fuck's sake. Whee!
I'll be honest. I just wish that I wish that people could recognize struggles with gender identity, struggles with talking about sex roles, gender roles, all of that stuff could be recognized for what it is, intensely personal. Doesn't really, how is this touching people's lives in any sort of major way? I don't get it. I don't see how it impacts society in any major way. When it comes to defining, the presentation, the way people act. I mean, it's from in a legal framework. How is it anything but a hangover from the morality dictates of previously learned, indoctrinated rules and regulations from a time when perhaps these things weren't as well understood. And I think I've been told anyway. I haven't really studied it, and I haven't delved deeply into the Hebrew aspects of things. But I think that even within that society, there was more than one gender assignment sort of thing, one tradition of playing the role of that you must be this or that.
Are you talking about Jewish
I've heard that. I don't know if it's true.
Documented. Let's go with like his scholarly dates for like the Pentateuch with like a documentary hypothesis, 7th century BC. like that would probably be like this is my like layman, I'm not a scholar, but around that time period, people were trying to make it more binary in the like Levant, let's say, like the ancient Near East-ish, like northern Africa, you know, Middle East and southern Europe. But everywhere else, who knows? Like the documentation's not great. Like Egyptians, the dudes wore makeup, so like their gods had different like sex organs all over the place. Like some had boobs and crazy stock legs, some were thick, some were thin, like some had dicks, some had nothing. Like what thing is that thing? Look at the statue. I don't know. Like, and then we know Indian cultures, they threw boobs and dicks on whatever. They didn't care. Like the gender binary, like what? No. And those are like millennia behind Israel, Hebrew religion. So do with that what you will. But I mean, from my broad eye view of history and like an assessment of that, Pat, get your ass over here. It's like the distinction being so.
Is Pat in the chat?
No, I'm trying to page him with my psychic powers. But like this demand, this moral oughtness of the binary distinction of and conflation of sex and gender was not really a big thing until Abrahamic religions just kind of like infected everything. And by the time you get to like the 2nd century, mid 3rd century of Christians writing within having more power in the Roman Empire, being like, women suck, church power, men.
Yeah.
Like that's when that shit just went off the rails.
Well, you have to have clear men and clear women. Otherwise, how do you know who to subjugate?
Yeah. A Titan, you disagree with me. Maybe not. You know, maybe I could be wrong. I'm always open to being corrected. Again, I'm not a scholar. But
no, I have heard that.
Of course, with Islam, it just, you know,
oh God,
put that shit to 100. Like,
no, I have heard that in more egalitarian cultures, like, it's probably Myth Vision, but I can't remember exactly where I heard it. But the scholar was saying, like, every single time you see Christianity coming through, women get stripped of their rights.
They have to, though. It's like part of the whole. It comes kit and caboodle with what the texts say to them, anyway. It's like they can't. And
you know, which is what I was trying to say to Skylar. I'm like, you know, for somebody who rails against Christianity, is like he's always railing on the moral argument. Christianity equals immorality. And I'm like, these are what you're talking about are things that are like and like part and parcel of like not even just Christians. Like there are a lot of Christians that will accept trans people. They're no evangelicals. So you've gone to like the total fundy side of Christianity and have adopted their talking points. This is insane.
Am I lagging?
I heard something, but like your mouth didn't move. And I'm like, wait, what happened?
Maybe
am I lagging? Stephanie
know.
said, but I was lagging earlier. So it might be me.
You're not anymore. You're good.
Okay, good.
And I'm not seeing lag, so I don't know.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Oh, Titan's in there with two spirit people in the chat.
Winky, we're two spirit, a man and a woman in one body. Some chose to put one gender in terms of clothing, etc. face forward. Others did not. Some mixed. Interesting.
Yeah, and it's like, you know, that's a mixture. That's clearly about presentation mostly. And then, you know, today I found out that there was a Roman emperor that preferred to be called a lady and wanted to be identified basically as like
That's cool.
Woman.
Who's that?
I have to find the name again. Hang on. And they sought out reassignment actually. Yeah.
Wow.
Emperor
That's cool.
Train.
I don't know. Steph, I want to publicly apologize. I honestly thought Skylar was open to information. I was wrong. And I
I've
apologize
lost my
to
audio. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to get it back.
Oh.
You guys chat amongst yourselves.
All right, Nitty.
Elagabalus.
Who?
It's Elagabalus, and this is a fun fact.
Okay.
Described as having been delighted to be called the mistress, the wife of Queen of Heracles, and is said to have
my
offered
God.
half the Roman Empire to the physician who could equip him with female genitalia. He wanted a vagina so bad. He's like, have half the empire. Fuck it. Or fuck me.
That's super cool.
I didn't read that far into that part. Now I'm just like amazed. That's woohoo. That's so awesome.
Yeah, I found it. Well, I don't know if there's anybody in the chat or anybody watching this back. I threw in a link.
I was listening to Jennifer Bird, which, by the way, if you're not subscribed to Dr. Jennifer Bird, what's wrong with you? She was talking about the Matthew 19, where Jesus culminates his discussion on marriage with eunuchs. And for one, like, no Christian really figures that out. They're like, what God has joined, let no man separate. Stop reading, right? But Jesus is like, well, the optimal state of affairs is to do none of that and have no reproductive capability. Now, for the longest time, whether that's through like media presentation or cultural description of eunuch, I always assumed that a eunuch was someone who just had a quick lop off of all the man parts, right? Like, I think that's brought by and large. When you say word eunuch to most people, they're like, no dick, no balls.
Yeah.
They're just a fucking Ken doll down there, right? But really, it was much grosser than that. They would keep the dong, but the balls would just be constricted, or like constricted to the point. It's kind of like squeezing an orange until it squeezes in half, basically. And then when the rest of the testes all shriveled off, they just cut that off. Or they bind it with leather or something to like strap it off. So it's a much more horrific process than I realized. It's like,
holy shit.
I thought it was just a scimitar, just
God, just kill me.
Yeah, scimitar and cauterize, but no.
Well, that's been fun facts with Nitty.
If you need to learn more about dicks in the Bible, just ask. Just ask. Well,
Steph, can you hear us?
Yeah. I guess, yeah, Ember. That's just what I learned from like Egypt, Rome-ish, Middle East. Some eunuchs were made eunuchs that way. But okay, so one of the things I found the funniest about the New Testament, even when I was just like deconverting-ish, was I was rereading the book of Galatians just for funsies. And Paul's like playing this rhetorical joke on the Judaizers who are trying to prescribe circumcision, right? And there's a word for it, like
I have, for some strange reason, sorry to interrupt because I can't hear a word you're saying. For some strange reason, I have lost audio entirely.
Oh no!
So
but chat can still hear us.
If you tell me what to do here, I mean, I can dip out, restart, come back. or we can end the stream now. And I'd
I
I'd
would
love
try.
to.
Hold on, let me private message you. Try.
Send me something in the golly.
Yeah, the chat. I mean, the
All right, I'm gonna dip out, come back. I may have to restart my but you guys please carry on and I'll do what I can.
All right. Anyway, so Galatians 5, Paul plays a word game. The word circumcision.
Wait a minute.
is-
Something just happened.
was that Jay?
Yeah.
Oh, are you still in Gather?
Yeah, I'm just gonna have to
The gathered work too. Yeah, anybody can leave a StreamYard stream and come back, even if you made the stream in the first place. Because the link the link don't care.
I don't know because she's in Gather, so I was trying to see if like maybe her audio switched.
Oh
'cause
yeah,
it likes to do that.
yeah. The
but
computer is like, give me your audio.
She doesn't seem to be able to hear me in there either.
Okay, I'm gonna finish my story time. So,
All right.
word game joke, and Paul's like, I just wish they'd go cut the whole thing off, right? Like to like kind of make fun of their position, right? But my thing is, if circumcision's such a big deal, who's checking?
Odd. Duh.
No, but like for them to culturally know that this is has happened to someone or will happen to someone, they have to look, right? Like, how Jew have you gone? How Christian are you? Let's see the goods here. Like, so obviously, looking at each other's dicks would be like, let's go. Like, like no one was like, ew, I saw your dog, bro, no homo. They were all like, you got stuff? You got the extra packaging on that? Let's see. Prove it.
I mean, they have that ritual, right?
It just cracks me up just to think about that. Like, that
Well,
there's
like
just people running around like,
No, I mean they have that ritual, right? Where like what's it called on the 8th day that the baby's born, the priest is supposed to cut off the skin and eat it.
yeah, and they suck the wound to help it cauterize or something.
Mm-hmm. That's not weird.
No. Or the bar mitzvah, you become a man. It's when you're really developing.
Oh,
Jason's just learning all kinds of stuff tonight.
I know,
and
right?
he's like, they're so gross. Oh
What
my
is
god!
wrong with you two? Yeah, no, I mean,
I
he's
just
probably making the
collect
face
all
we
this
all made
gross
when we first heard about
information.
it.
I'm the garbage disposal of dick facts, I guess. I'm
No,
a
you have
bag
a
of
lot-
dicks.
Just don't eat them, God.
Yeah, sure. I'm collecting them like David. I'll pile them somewhere one day.
No, you have a lot about Bible facts. I like it's impressive, actually. You're like a
Oh, thanks.
Bible encyclopedia.
Yeah, it's not stuff that's necessarily tied to like specific. Usually, it's not tied to like specific archaeology or like some like sophisticated war or something, but like the esoteric stuff or the symbolism stuff, or just thinking about like the human interactions in the New Testament. Like that's my jam. Like we can talk about that all day. I always say Revelations, letters to the 7 churches are like my favorite.
Really?
Like historiographical symbolism pile.
Can you hear us?
Yeah. Oh, great.
Yay! No,
But yeah,
man. See,
Revelations,
just getting back
letters,
to it,
7
I haven't
churches
looked
is, like,
at.
all the way
Oh,
up
do
there.
you have any streams on that? Like, because that interests me too. Because I can't figure it the fuck out, and I know it means something, but like
Well,
I don't know. It's hard to find drink the Kool-Aid streams about it on YouTube.
Well, like I actually learned most of the symbolism from D.A. Carson's lecture series, who's obviously like a very vested theologian, still not dead yet, but not to mind out, or is he? I don't know. But he did a lecture series in like a Canadian university, and he explained in detail like what each like weird description of Jesus or description of what Jesus is saying, how that maps out to some part of the history of the letter to that church. So like
Interesting.
the city of Smyrna, he's like, you were alive and dead, and now you're alive again. That's in direct reference to it
Mhm.
being a city, metropolis. It got conquered,
Mhm.
and it was
Mhm.
rebuilt, and it
Mhm.
got conquered again, and it was rebuilt. So it was dead, and alive again. Like it has this cycle of
Okay,
rebirth
yeah.
that is being directly pinned to it
Oh, I like
in
that.
that letter to the church, right?
Things that make sense. Who knew?
Yeah, yeah. Or like the whole like, I wish you were hot or cold
Mhm.
instead of lukewarm. The church
Mhm.
Laodicea.
Yeah.
Laodicea was directly between the hot springs to the north and the cool, like what are those called? Like ease thing, or the water going to the ocean. It's all cooled down by then, and both are useful,
Okay.
right?
Right.
Like hot for
Mhm.
sanitizing, cleaning things, cold for refreshment, washing, ceremonial washing, whatever. But the lukewarm shit in the pipes is just gross. And you just don't want to do anything with it. And
Okay.
that's
Fair.
where that comes from. It's like
Hmm.
you're like the water that comes to you. You're useless. Jesus, like, y'all suck. Get off the team.
Oh, that is awesome. That is cool. Wait, is that a YouTube series, or do I actually have to go to the school and hack their system?
It's an audio series. I could probably dig it up. Maybe it's in the Wayback Machine. I
Hey,
don't
DM
know.
me. Steph's back. We're gonna let her.
Yeah, and or I could just try and like do them rote from memory and put it all in one place. I know I've gone through them in one of my lives somewhere in the deep space of the hours and
You're
hours of
supposed to know every
content
I think
I've
a lot of
gathered.
things. Yeah, I think a lot of things get lost in translation anyway. I mean,
100%.
if you don't know the language, if you lack any sort of familiarity with any Semitic language and the notion of consonantal roots, you miss all sorts of puns.
Oh,
Adam
yeah.
is a pun. ADM is a pun
Right.
Of dirt, right?
of dirt.
Mhm.
Dirt,
The
red
dirt man.
ochre, dirt man, and
Yeah,
name of
Earthman.
man, dirt, all of that. I mean, it basically you could say Earthling. You named him
Yeah.
Earthling.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. Thing of the earth.
Well, it's man, like mankind, but it's
Mhm.
also the dirt, like the earth.
And so you miss a lot of allegory there.
Yeah.
Right? There's allegory, there's punning, there's all of this stuff
There's actually
that
Genesis
goes on.
does that a lot, where there's
That goes
like
on
the
in the language.
play on words. And if you, I don't know, which they would have gotten at the time it was written, but
When you're a Christian and you're buried in like the historicity and like I like to say it as like when you're a young person and you were just generally unfamiliar with the Bible and what it says, and then you're surrounded by people that are really interested in it, and they seem to say like, oh, I have this great understanding of these spiritual truths. If only you have that too. So let's read it together. Let's get in here.
Yeah.
And when you're younger, you're like, oh, there's so much mystery to uncover here. Let's go. Right. And then you read those stories in a way that you're kind of trying to put yourself into them, or like you're exploring something, but you're not thinking about it too critically. And I think one of the things that I really missed out on was that most of the Pentateuch names that have like some significant event or speech tied to them, their actual name is associated with whatever it is they're trying to do. Like, and so it's like totally uncreative, and it's a literary device to say
Mhm.
this person is the action that they're taking. This
Yeah.
person is the event that is happening to them. Like,
Yeah, the Bible does that too.
oh yeah, the New Testament is rife with it too. Like, what is it? Zacchaeus. His name literally means small
Mhm.
man, and then he's redescribed as
Yeah.
tiny. So small man, tiny. Like what? Eutychus, lucky person, right? Falls from a tower, lives. That
Mhm.
seems pretty lucky. All kinds
Yeah,
of shit
no,
like
and
that.
I can't even think of the names off the top of my head because it's like midnight and I'm like, I don't know, my ADHD meds have worn off like hours ago. But yeah, it'll be like, there's this man whose name was the thing that he actually does in the chapter or in the in the story, and
Yeah.
it actually tells you that, like the English translation will tell you that, and people are like, oh well, Jesus clearly knew him in the womb and made sure his mother named him for this thing that he was going to do. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not like this is made up at all. What a happy coincidence that he did
No.
the thing that he is
Right.
exactly named for. And it's not like that
Exactly.
happens over and over and over.
Yeah, it's kind of a theme.
Oh my god.
But I'm sorry, Steph. Did you?
I'm responding to Titan in chat. Yeah, red ochre. It's associated with red earth, red ochre, bloody earth, dirt,
Mhm.
etc., and so forth. And that's why it's such a great pun.
Oh, yeah.
It's wonderful.
Titan just nailed the best one. Satan means the accuser, and only even appears as a proper name once, and that's
Right.
when he's in Job. And what's he
Right.
do? And try to indict Job's character to God.
But he has to ask permission. He does nothing without God's permission.
Yeah.
Right. There's that.
It's
That's
actually more
interesting.
like the adversary, and it's like the counsel and the opposing counsel. It's
Mhm.
kind of that. That's kind of the thing with that whole thing. And some people say Job is the oldest book of the Bible, and you mentioned mitzvah earlier. Mitzvah is basically a commandment. It's become good deed, but it's a commandment, something you owe God as a religious duty.
Mhm.
So since God is good, then that's got to be good, right? It's got to be good.
I never understood the good God. I don't know. Maybe
Yes.
it was a Catholic thing. It wasn't until I came to the skeptic community that I heard about like a quad omni God, and I'm like, what's the fourth one? Good. Have you read the thing?
Yeah, mitzvah is the fulfillment of a commandment, a ritual completed.
No, but like Catholics, I don't even know how they get away with that because guilt is like so ingrained in like I don't want to say ritual, but almost. I mean, like the nuns make no pick no, like was it like don't like parse words, like you better do what we say or God will know that you're disobeying me in particular and he will smite you for me. Like, I mean, it was
Much as I smite you with this ruler over your knuckles.
Yeah. It's not half of
I
what
didn't go
God's
to
going to
Catholic.
do to you if I catch you doing this again.
I didn't go
But
to
I mean,
Catholic
yeah, I
school,
know
but
the whole smiteful God, like this is a really big theme in Catholic school. So I'm just,
I did have an English teacher in 7th grade who would literally call you up to the desk and smack you over the knuckles if you
Jeez.
Was it a
misbehaving
nun?
in class.
If it was a
No.
nun, I totally believe you.
No, public school.
One of the things I was talking
Oh.
with my friend about last night would be fun to run a Christian through this. So it's the idea of what's it? Not corporal, but communal, or like there's another word for it, to like say that you're gonna judge judge a people based on some people's actions within that group of people, where it's
Christian
corporate.
values.
No, it's corporate responsibility. So
Okay.
like much of the Old Testament moral system was not just personal responsibility to God, but also corporate responsibility to God. So if the majority of your nation has moral failing, God judges the whole damn thing. So the game
Sometimes
you play,
he burns you alive.
well, but the game you play with the Christian is you sit with them and you say, okay, how do you feel when a preacher like Pat Robertson or some, name your Southern
Yeah.
Baptist type doom and gloom preacher. How do you feel when they say, God is judging our country for the gays by sending Katrina? Are you revulsed by
New
that, or
Orleans
do you agree with that?
specifically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And they're like, oh, I'm repulsed by that. Okay, great. Now let's say like half the country was doing something that you found immoral, right? And a preacher says, the whole country is on fire. There's a volcano erupting, there's storms everywhere, and God's going to kill just everyone in this country for what half of it is doing. Do you think that's just? They're like, no. Well, okay. Like, what if it's everyone except you? Is that okay then too? And if they say no, it's like, well, you've got some problems reading the Old Testament, my friend.
It's not bad if God does it.
Carries into the doctrine of blood libel that
Yeah.
Christians heaped upon Jews.
Mhm.
And
Just
and
wholesale people group. Yeah.
it's just this wholesale people. You're responsible for deicide. You killed God. That whole notion is and it's.
Yeah, there's a reason we don't in war or just social interaction do corporate responsibility, because it's an injustice to the people who actually behave morally or in accordance with the law.
And
It's
strikes me
by
as
definition a
only
war crime now.
It strikes me as only partially moral that we've established rules for war, rules for warfare, which is essentially organized murder. It's not.
Do we follow them?
Depends who
But
you ask.
But we've established these rules that say, okay, if you're going to, if a group of people is going to go to war against another group of people, in other words, engage in organized homicide, this is how you do it. It's not biblical, but it might as well be, because I think that the analogies there is like, this book tells you how to keep slaves, how to treat with the nations around you, how to it's basically the rules of war in the Bronze Age.
Yeah.
And
well, I'm kind of glad that things like the Geneva Convention exist, because I don't want to get mustard gassed anytime soon.
That's nice.
I agree. I mean, but the thing is, you're still making rules about an atrocity.
Yeah, it's nice to have some standards, but
yeah. I mean, it is. It's really nice to have standards.
Some standards. I mean,
but
we pretty much do what we want to do, though.
Exactly. And that, going back to that video, who makes the law? What's legal?
We do.
We do. We're responsible for that. So you can't really stand on the rule of law when horrible people can make horrible laws that are genocidal. I mean, you're living in a state, dude. This fella is living in a state that is making rules that are essentially genocidal. This class of people may not exist. The Russian Federation made laws that say, I can't live.
No.
And it is, I'm really sorry to break it to, I would call folk like the fellow I interacted with today, he's genocidal. Really. I mean, he doesn't want to see, sitting there saying, well, he's essentially debating a topic about how to treat people like me, children, as like the child I was. He wants to put himself in a position to make those decisions, put himself in between that person, that person's family, that person's physician. It doesn't matter, and it really doesn't matter. You can argue for hours and hours and hours and hours with folks, point out study after study after study, and they will still come down to, you got a dick, you're a boy. You got a coochie, you're a girl. Deal with it.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like
That's
what,
the world
Xerxes.
I grew up in, and I don't want to see children have to go through what I went through.
You had that conversation with Xerxes,
Yeah.
which is kind of how I thought this conversation would go. And like, I thought I was going to hear the thud of him falling off a chair when you asked him, like, how he knew he was like, he had XY chromosomes. Like, he was like, I have a dick. And
Always gets there. It always, every single time.
Here we go. We're riding on the dick again.
what was it that
Right on
she
the
asked
dick.
him, how do you know you have XY most people don't know what their fucking chromosomes are. Like we would guess or assume, but like, there's a good portion of society that just doesn't, and you wouldn't know, what they are unless you had like fucking Down syndrome or something.
Well,
like
it's
The-
not
the
just
way I-
that. You need to also map out how their DNA helps them produce hormones or the expression of their morphology or, all that stuff. Like, where's my goddamn facial hair?
Yeah. I mean,
Someone
we're-
bring it back. It
we're
never
spoon
existed.
feeding.
The
We're spoon
way I like to
feeding
put
here.
it-
I'm lagging. Sorry.
Yeah, well, not for me.
the way I like to put it is that the young man got it right that I featured, and I keep his name keeps slipping my mind, which is really, really bad. I should figure that out. But anyway, the way I like to put it is chromosomes, gamete production or potential thereof, are indicators of phenotypical development that people generally view as being of the male and female category. So it's a predictor, and if you're XY, the predictor is, well, the chances are this person is going to turn out to fall into a phenotype that we will see walking around in the world as male, and an XX is a predictor of the phenotype, but it's not always going to be the case that XX and XY turn out that way. And so therefore you wind up having people with this is why exceptions don't prove the rule. They actually say the rule is bullshit. See what I mean? I mean, if you have an XX person who's phenotypically male, is that person male or female? If you want to base the determination on chromosomes alone, female. However, if that person happens to have a difference of sexual development, that leads them to have a body type that's more phenotypically male, they'll get assigned male at birth. And so it's chromosomes are a predictor, hormonal makeup is a predictor. You just don't know. There's an old song from the Fantastics. Plant a radish, get a radish, never any doubt. That's why I love children, you know what they're about. That's why I love vegetables. I'm sorry, you know what you're about. But with children, it's bewildering. Blah, 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 blah. Anyway, it goes on. It's a pretty cool song. It's like plant a radish, get a radish, not a Brussels sprout. That's why I love vegetables. You know what you're about. And it's not that simple. It's just not.
Yeah, and most things aren't.
Get over it. What's the etiology of transsexualism? As I hate to use the term, but that's what it used to be called, and I'm old. But what's the etiology of all this? Who the hell knows? I don't know. Is it genetic makeup? Is it hormonal balance in the womb? Is it? I have no idea. But it doesn't matter because people do turn out trans, and it's okay. What I'd like to get to is a point where people say, "Well, that's okay. It's unusual, but it's okay. You've got red hair. Well, that's unusual, but it's okay. It's fine. We're not going to insist that you dye your hair black just to fit in. You know, if we can't tell whether you've got if we can't assign by genitalia what you are at birth, we're not going to jump in there and make a few alterations for you in infancy. You know, all these people that are saying, well, you shouldn't be performing operations on children. It's like, they actually do that on intersex people.
They actually, yeah.
And they carve out exceptions to any surgical procedure for those people, for the benefit of whom? Not for the individual, but for the benefit of the parents and society. And the doubt that anyone could live as a human being in society without a clear marker of sex. And you know, that was the thing that was difficult for me to bear in listening to the rest of the conversation in there, was like, you're sitting there saying that you don't care about gender. It doesn't affect you. Somebody on the stage while I was in there basically said, Skylar doesn't believe that non-binary exists. And I asked, what do you mean when you say non-binary? What does that mean to you? And he got pissed at me. That was another point at which he got pissed at me and said, what, are you stupid? Or, you know, words to that effect. Goodness. And
like asking you to clear up a definition is a sin.
Yeah. What does it mean to you? And finally, when he decided to finally address the issue, at least a little bit, his explanation was not, I asked him, what does gender mean to you? Which is even simpler. It's like, what does non-binary mean to you? And he said, I don't recognize gender. I think it's all artificial. I think it's constructed. I think it's bullshit. I think it's garbage. And I said, well, it sounds to me like you're non-binary then. Because many non-binary people I know would describe being non-binary exactly that way.
He did not like that.
And he got hit. That's when he really went off the rails and told me I couldn't listen. I didn't know. blah 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 blah.
It's like that's the position you just took.
And that's when he actually got so mad that he kicked me off the stage, put me in the green room, and brought me back 2 seconds later. So I do think I touched a nerve with that one.
Yeah, as
And
soon
then he
as
went
you,
Then he went on and on and on about, eventually getting to the point. Then he went on and on and on about gender reveal parties and how rewarding they are and all of this other stuff. It's like, dude, you have a lot to think about. You do more thinking and less talking.
But yeah, but nobody was saying that I don't know, he's like blaming the left for reasons, and like nobody said that you can't have gender reveal parties. That's not what this is.
No,
right,
fuck, go ahead, have a good time.
go nuts. Yeah.
It's like, and I said it in the chat. I don't know if you saw it or not. I'm like, yeah, have your fucking gender reveal party. Like, you think, if something is coming in that has a penis, douse it in blue. I don't give a fuck. The baby doesn't give a fuck.
It's gonna have a penis, and I'm gonna throw trucks at it. Yay!
But I'm saying, 3 to 5 years
And
later, when it's like, no,
you'll get a blowjob right off the bat.
But like, in 3 to 5 years later, when it's just like, I want to grow my hair out and I want to be called, this feminine name, all we're saying is like, maybe you don't, punish your kid like to the point that they want to kill themselves. It's like you can do a gender reveal party with a trans kid. It's totally fine. That's not what the left is advocating for.
Yeah, and as soon as
not what I hate that it's been made political, because it really isn't a political thing. It's a deeply personal thing that has to do with people and their families and their doctors. And this is a thing that is so hard to convey. If you are that child who is insistent, persistent, consistent in their identification, it is a terrible thing not to be listened to. It is a crushing thing not to be listened to. It imparts a tremendous sadness that, thank non-gods, we came a long way from when I was growing up and actually started listening to the very, very, very small number of children who are persistent, consistent, and insistent on their gender identity that is different from the sex that they were assigned at birth. It's a damn good thing we have done, because in my day, if one was insistent, persistent, and consistent, one got electroconvulsive therapy or conversion. That's at its extreme. That's what some doctors would recommend. I have friends my age who were treated that way as young children. And it's really, there are tiny numbers of people, and what is bruited about in the inner worlds is that kid wakes up in the morning, says I'm a girl, and immediately everybody goes, okay, here are a bunch of pills. It's not how it works.
Yeah, here's a wig and a bunch of dresses and Barbies, whatever the fuck. Not Barbies.
It's just
fuck Barbie, but
just not how it works. It's a process that involves a lot of counseling, not just for the kid, but for their parents, for their schools. It's a big deal for that family, and it's a big deal for educating people towards acceptance. And somehow that being yourself is a political act.
It's a problem now.
And that's why, every single, you feel like if you're trans, you feel like just simply living is a political act, and there's nothing wrong with that if you want to do that, but I personally would prefer not to. I didn't get involved until in any of this discourse until the government decided to propose a regulation that would deny me a passport, basically, or fuck me over when it came time to get on Medicare in 2018. That's exactly what HHS proposed.
How?
Sex is immutable and defined at birth. So all of my medical records would have to be revised.
Holy shit.
Yeah, they made that in October. Look it up. October 2018.
No, I heard some states were doing that. I didn't know the feds were.
The feds, the states weren't doing it. Some states are doing it now, but Trump's HHS made that proposal in October 2018. Early October 2018. That's when I basically stopped being in the other closet. Because I was just going along living my life as a aging girl child. I was fine. Yeah, sure there were people that knew my prior history, but most people just that never was a problem. But here you suckers are doing this, so I reached out to my friends who knew my prior history and said, please, write. Their public comment period is open. Right to the HHS. And I did what I could. And, some of my friends were friends in high places, luckily. And they thought it was stupid. So you do what you can, where you can, when you can. But Jesus Christ. And now you've got people who haven't studied the issue, don't know any trans people, don't know, are basically of the mindset, well, it's got a dick, got to be a guy. It's got a cunt, got to be a girl. It's that simple for these people. They don't really know. They don't care. And they don't really know. They like to get on this tip and will say outright. I mean, Pine Creek, literally the title of his stream when he went after Matt, and I got on and had a conversation with him. I'm having too much fun. Well, you're having too much fun doing what? You're having a lot of fun making other people's a tiny number of people, percentage-wise anyway, making their lives a living hell. It's great. Did you enjoy tearing the wings off those flies when you were in 6th grade? It's bullshit.
Yeah, but I mean, Jason Jacoby, it's not even just belittling people, and he might think that that's what he's doing, or it might truly be amusing to him to have the conversation, but it is just so irresponsible. And this is what I was saying to Skylar today. It's so irresponsible to broadcast this without getting actual answers. This is dangerous. It's not just a fun conversation to bandy back and forth when people's lives are on the line.
Right. I mean, in one comment that I dropped in the stream, which was ill-considered on my part, I basically said, I said, I pointed this out. There are these studies, but I'm trans and it doesn't matter. And he highlighted the comment and basically said, see, this is what they do. This is what they do. And that's why I should have just kept my fucking trap shot on that one. It's like, it's the ultimate in gaslighting. You can't win for losing. You can't win for losing. I mean, I could have been some old lady that he thought was a crackpot on his stream. I don't think I was, actually.
Yeah, exactly, Jason. The audience is bolstered by that stuff. So like I've gotten banned on a couple like other atheist channels recently because they
Why?
made some kind of post on the Pine Creek Matt thing. And I commented like, you do know that he was getting tired of doing theistic content, and then he started to move to politics for dopamine hits. Like,
Yeah.
he's literally said that on one of his streams before. I wouldn't be surprised if he scrubbed it or something, but like, that's a thing.
Yeah,
And
no,
so-
I assumed as much.
Right. And so and when he titles a stream, I'm having too much fun, it's just a confession that I'm doing this to fuck with you.
Yeah.
Like, and that's not a person who is going to take in it. Maybe they are, maybe they say that, but oh wait, I actually heard some information that I will let change my mind. Right.
Pine Creek's not going to
But-
change his
But
mind.
probably not. Yeah, the clicks and the engagement now are probably going higher and higher.
Well, he
So-
literally said after that stream it was the biggest stream he ever had on the Pine Creek Politics channel.
Yep. Not
So
surprised.
it's eyeballs on screens and asses in seats, and I hate to contribute to it. And I hate going in there and having people basically give me a roasting up and down the
the
road.
chat was
But they're-
infuriating when you were on. I was just like,
Right.
holy shit. Like the Christians were like, Doug, oh yeah, you're a preaching to the choir, buddy. We want legislation to stop this. We don't want people like this around. Like, they were mocking you, like, I'm here to educate, you know, like, I was like,
Oh my God.
it was awful. It's awful. And so I commented on this atheist post, and I'm like, you should look at the comments and some of these things. And like, I think Doug may have censored some of the real bigoted stuff that were like initial comments on like one video that was like about trans stuff, which good job. But like, there's been some pretty shitty comments on his short like form content. The stuff
And
that's
this is
over
what
it.
he's doing. You see, this is the problem that I have.
Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly. Me too.
Exactly.
It brings out the roaches.
It's not even that. It emboldens them. It
Yeah,
is another voice telling them that they're right, that their crusade for God is righteous, and that they have every right to kill
It is
people
very
for
theological.
Jesus. It is abhorrent. And like, I'm
I thought it was really interesting. The whole Doug thing I thought was really interesting because he tried to use that the power of the Holy Spirit thing to basically bring the entire discussion back into a realm that he's familiar with,
I know.
into a realm of argumentation that he's familiar with.
Mhm.
And it doesn't matter. I mean, it's like this is why it's an emphasis. There's an emphasis on trans ideology, because when you say it's an ideology, it's abstracting the people.
Mhm.
The people disappear, and the only thing you have is a gigantic straw man.
Right.
Because
Oh,
I know
and a
conservative
bunch of
trans
dead
people, I know liberal trans people, I know libertarian trans people, I know communist trans people, I know very staunchly capitalist trans people, I know also, like, there's no ideology here, pal. You get, look at trans Twitter and you'll find out quickly that people have the same kinds of rivalries and disputes and everything that every group has.
well, that makes a lot more sense because on like 98.9 The Answer, which is like the conservative radio station near me, when you said calling it an ideology is a gigantic straw man, and how that pulls it to almost like a religious language context, I think that's where the conservatives and the people who are, and I think that Doug fails to realize, is that is exactly the language the people that don't want him around, making atheists anything, that's exactly the language that they use to foment their bigotry and say things like Frank Turek. Oh, this is, our culture is a religion of sex and doing weird things with the sex, or like the Walshes or whatever, like this trans doctrination, right, that is going to strike your children and they're going to want to worship the having different genitalia or some shit. It's like, yeah, it discounts the people. It views it as something that is contagious or can like bounce from person to person, when none of that's true, but it makes it sound like it can be true, right? It's a religion because religions can spread, right? And that we see this as something spreading when it's not.
Yes,
And,
yes, exactly. That's a great point, Eddie. That's a really great point. It's a really great point. That it's
so they're worrying about people converting.
Yeah, and it's definitely a thing in press that it's contagion of some sort. It's the trans contagions stealing our daughters. It was
did you hear him when the Catholic guy came on at the very end of his engagement with Kevin, the non-traditional Catholic that came on in the middle, just after you? So at the very end of that part of the conversation, and if you blink, you almost miss it, but that's the exact language that Doug used. He's like, I would be interested in a scientific study that explores the social contagion of trans, and then he trailed off. And I'm like, motherfucker, you did not. Like, and people were like giving me shit, like this one atheist that I got blocked on. I was like, this is the same language that Nazis used. Period. Stop it. Like, there is no discussion here. It's documented, and the conservatives are using it. And then even the people who are gender criticals, TERFs or whatever, are using it too. And they don't care. They don't care.
No,
it's useful.
They're in a religious holy war. Everything that supports their opinion is
I literally
righteous and
typed in the
just.
chat, even though no one would see it. I'm like, you sound like Frank Turek.
My amusement is not worth a pile of dead bodies.
Right.
It's so disgusting.
Yeah, I wish people would people, it's the old think of the children thing. I think of myself. I think of myself as a child. I think of the children like me today that are the victims of this kind of a program that they don't deserve. They deserve better. And they were getting better.
Yeah, things were getting better.
And it does get better. It's like, if you look at the reason the treatment is as it is for gender dysphoria is because it works.
Yeah.
Because it's effective treatment. Now, here's the thought experiment that often comes up, or that people have posed to me in the past, is if there were a pill that would eliminate the dysphoria and leave you content, would you take it? And my answer is always no. And the reason is because that wouldn't be me. That wouldn't be me.
Right. They certainly wouldn't like the hypothetical in reverse, right?
It's not even that. I mean, what they're trying to do is liken trans to like just like what they did with gay. You know, you're not your real self. Like you just need to take a pill to be your real self. And what
Right.
Steph is saying is what trans people are saying. Like, no, I am not. They're asking these questions. It's a ruse. What they're trying to get at, and if you say yes, I'd rather fit in with society, you're playing into the genocidal mentality. You're saying, yes, I believe that this is a mental disorder, and I would rather be this other thing, this thing that I'm not. The
Well,
only correct answer is I want to be myself. And there's no, and what a pill does, like I've had to, I have ADHD, I've had depression. The pill restores you to your natural self. That's where we're never going to have a pill for gay. We're never going to have a pill for trans. Just let the medical professionals deal with this. What
right.
we want is for people to be their true authentic self. And the mental disorder is the part where you're forced to live a life that's not you. And
Well,
it's ridiculous.
let's play the person who shall not be named's favorite game, right?
Mhm.
I think they would hate this suggestion. Are you ready? So I see that question as almost as analogous now as if there was a pill to make you not trans, not gay, would you take it? Well, it's like, hey, Doug, if there was a prayer that could make you a Christian again, would you do it?
Well, that's the flip of his Holy Spirit argument.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
It's the total flip of his Holy Spirit.
You would be your Christian self again, how God wanted you to be. You don't want to do that?
Flip of that argument.
But
No,
the
you
terrible
probably-
thing is,
Ban you.
well, the terrible thing is a lot of Christians believe they can do that. They could give that. They're trying to give that medication through prayer to other people. And that's exactly what I did to my own
Right.
parent. And it's disgusting. It's disgusting. I prayed for years that exact thing. And now I hate myself for how many. I could go get you a prayer journal where I prayed that fucking shit. Like it's in the other room. Like I don't want to, but it's gross. And I hate that's part of my history, but it was. Stephanie,
You
you look
raise the
flabbergasted.
blade, you make the change, you rearrange me till I'm sane. You lock the door and throw away the key. There's someone in my head, but it's not me.
What song is that?
Dark Side of the Moon.
Oh, okay.
All right, guys, I have to get out of here. I have to go to work in the morning. But
Yeah.
Nitty, thank you for this
It's-
map. That's going to be
Oh,
that
you're
is
very
great.
welcome.
I had no idea what people were talking about. Now I have it, so I'm really excited. Steph, again, I am really sorry.
I'm-
I didn't. Again, I thought the conversation was gonna go more like yours and Xerxes, and rather than yours and Doug's. But thanks for. It's nice to feel heard. And we
Listen,
tried.
I so appreciate your everything you are and everything you do. And I appreciate your coming in here and talking me down off the lid. I mean,
We're
that's-
having
that's
fun.
That guy.
Yeah.
You know, we are having fun, and it's all good.
We're having the healthy kind of fun. Where
Yeah,
we're not
right.
doing this to hurt people. We're doing this to be our friends with each other and
Yeah,
know,
to support and
understand
affirm our
things and-
friends. Like, holy shit, what a novel concept. All right, but if nothing else, we'll have fun Sunday night, 9:30 Eastern. Bye.
yeah.
You betcha. Oh yes, please do tune in to Bad Science.
Woo. I might do some. I'm hoping to edit down something I did before I came on. I was working on 9 questions for the deconverted. Because there's Christians in my comments like, oh, you need Jesus. Like, are you were right kind of believer? And so I'm like, here, I'll just give you the receipts, right? And I'll preach at you. And so I made that
Perfect.
video today. Well, I made clips and I'm gonna splice them together. Hey, Ember, you still out there? Who did your channel intro? I need one. But I'll just bother you via email for that. But yeah, so I'm working on that, hoping to premiere that by the weekend. And if I feel like it's insurmountable, I'll just go fucking live tomorrow or Friday. So there you go.
Yeah.
But y'all can come hang out with me either.
Anything else going on in the world of Nitty World? Going on in Nitty World.
In my real life, my family's buying a van this weekend, so we can tote these fucking kids around.
Nice.
I'm in charge of doing all of it. So like my wife and kids are going to be out of town, so I have to go buy this shit myself. So I've already like nailed down like all the financing and stuff, and it's like I'm going to haggle a little bit, but I'm probably not going to go. I'm probably not going to get very far. But.
We got to get this person as quickly as possible.
Hello.
Oh, hey, there you are. I just yelled at you.
Yeah, I heard.
There's an
I figured
echo.
it'd be easier to just answer verbally. I made my own intro. Do you know what sort of thing you're looking for?
I don't know. Something with lightning bolts.
Lightning.
Got an echo. Is it on?
It's Ember. It has to be.
Oh,
I think it's Ember.
yeah, it might be. I might have like a double microphone thing going on here.
Got.
Nothing.
Yep.
Well, shit. Let me try. Peter's been teaching me sorcery in OBS, and it may be.
Now you're muted. And I've got an echo.
So our audio must be coming out of a speaker somewhere. That's getting picked up by your mic.
Or you're using voice meter and you've got it looping through something.
Put here.
Yeah.
Okay,
Check.
how's
Okay.
that?
There we go.
I think
Okay.
it's better.
I
You
just
did
disabled,
it.
I disabled the OBS throughput thing. It must have been looping back on itself somewhere in there.
Yep. So you did it yourself. That's cool. What'd you make it with?
A combination of After Effects and Premiere and what is it? Vegas Pro.
Expensive Adobe crap.
Well, so my job gives me a free Adobe Cloud account. So yeah. I need it.
Hey,
for the
listen,
function of my
I
job,
actually
so.
still have an expensive Adobe Cloud account. Anybody wants to help me pay for it, you can get check out the links in the video description.
I love
Drop
that
me a
Titan.
coin or
That's
two.
funny. What's the best you can do? And no matter what they say, turn and walk away.
Yeah.
Oh my god. But did you? So are you into like graphic art, or did you just find like a culmination of like tutorials to help you throw the spaghetti at the wall and make a thing?
Well, more the first one.
Okay.
I've been a photographer, video person for a long time, but I got good at the Adobe stuff by watching tutorials for years.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm in. My fingers are in too many pots to do that kind of video stuff. Like I could put transitions and text and drag an effect onto a clip or whatever and come up with layering ideas and shit like that. But like doing like a spinning, nameplate or like, gas or electric or energy effects, it's like, nope. Can't do that.
Some of them are pretty labor intensive, but some of them are easier than you might think. Like,
well, some of them have a goddamn plugin, and you just drop the thing, and it makes the text explode and come back.
Mm-hmm. those you're limited on customization with that kind of thing, but you can get them produced fairly quickly that way.
Right.
Like I don't know if you ever saw the Comic-Con stuff that I was putting out earlier this year, but I did interview shows for the Comic-Con to promote the guests and whatnot. And the intro for that is I literally just grabbed a module that I found of like a cool space sci-fi logo reveal and just dropped the convention logo on it, and it just made it. And I'm like,
Just works,
done.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah, I would just want like my little PNG of my little dude, and then like my name Nitty kind of exploding around the dude, or he like pops up and the like Nitty explodes, and then the little PNG just like pops up and goes, ah. That's it. There you go. Done. That's as cool as it needs to be.
Okay, I can see what I can find.
Yeah, and I'll send you some petty cash if we're making that. If you do, no pressure. You don't have to.
Okay, I'll probably give it a shot because I mean, part of learning the arts of the Peter is also like intro stuff for other people's channels. It's a thing Peter.
Well,
does, so
I'll credit you too on everything. Well, my so sad news about Lil Nitty. So about 2 months ago, I had to update my OS for my work machine. Oh shit, no, my personal machine probably updated too. Fuck. Anyway, by updating my OS, it broke the linking software from Adobe Animator, Character Animator. There's a linking software that does a virtual camera of the Character Animator to OBS, and that died. Like, so the virtual camera support for the character is just dead in the water, and I can't find a way to fix it yet. So like when I do get there, Lil Nitty's coming back. Just you wait. And I can't wait to appear on like random Christian streams, and I'm just this little mouth flappy character again, so I could just get at him more. It's another veil where you can just act a little more and have some more fun and get kicked out faster. But I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I never figured out how to much of the stuff with Adobe Animator. When the rare times I have to do animation, I do it in Photoshop usually. I know Animator would be easier, but I just never learned that software.
Well, Character Animator is actually super easy. Like you can start with like mine's like mostly the starting, Caucasian template. And I just made my own spiky hair in Photoshop, and
there you go.
there we go, done. But yeah,
the Caucasian template is like
the visual track, and then
we all start with this template.
The cool thing is that you can record performances of the character, and it like, so if you sit in front of the camera, it'll like vector map like your physical features and even your arms, so that it like puts the kinetics of the puppet to your limbs and facial structure, so that it can track you while you and you can record a performance and then save it as a transparent video and then use that for whatever you want.
Okay, I've heard people like Cirrus, VTubers, they do something like that in real time.
Yeah, that's what it does. That's what I was
neat.
doing with my live streams before, is that I ran Character Animator in real time, and then was trying to virtually video it into OBS and then stream it that way.
Neat.
Or StreamYard. Like I could take that virtual camera anywhere, or to any platform that lets you use when the camera is running as a sim of a camera and the browser detects it, works perfect. Like I would be on the stream now as my little Nitty, but you did.
Yeah, I have something kind of like that set up. I mean, it's not an animated critter, but I do have a video version thing.
I like that.
Oh yeah.
It was what I had handy, because like I said, I'm testing all this stuff and trying to get it to work and behave.
So what's Ember got coming up? What do you got going on?
A bunch of stuff is pending. Lawrence from Aaron's show is eventually going to be on, and I'm still trying to set up stuff about the Dawkins thing with you. And Bree said she's in.
Yeah.
I haven't heard from Planer, so it'll probably just be us. But we got to set up a time. So yeah, a lot of things are up in the air, pending dates and whatnot. The next for sure thing is a regular video on Saturday, right before Blasphemers Bible at noon. So I think it's 11:15, maybe 11:30, depending on how long the video is, so that the stream can just go right over to Aaron's. Yeah, I may have some random stuff come up during the week. Who knows?
I just found a YouTube video that should correct my character. We'll see.
Yay!
Yeah.
Character correction.
I'm not doing it now because I don't know how long it's going to take, and I might dip out soon because I'm getting tired.
Yeah, I'm gonna be. And I've been going anyway for 2 hours and 19 minutes and 58 seconds, as it says right here. So I'm thinking maybe
Let's
pretty
rein it
soon
in, folks.
we can dial it in and
Not folks, people.
A
Peoples.
sorted humanoid mammal type being.
everybody. But yeah, the Dawkins thing. Did you see the thing I did on that at all?
A little bit, enough to tell that it was the same video.
Yeah, it's the same video, but boy, I got to tell you, I got to find this kid's name. At the end of it, I present some stuff from. Gotta find. No, it's Dawkins. There we go. What is a Dawkins? Don't you
Why
think
is
that's
a
reasonable
Dawkins?
question? Well, it's like, whatever. Hey, whatever. Jackson Wagon. Let me put a link in the chat to this kid's video. It is excellent. It really is. It's he's not I'm not exactly sure what field he's studying, but I think he's a student, and but boy, you really need to see this. This guy's he put in a lot of work to produce this, and it's really well done, and it's basically a response to Matt Walsh, which really at this point I have to say, and I'm fucking sorry to say, is Dawkins' tip on trans issues. It's just so sad. But this kid, Jackson Wagon, is his channel. Putting a link in the chat. I think you can do that. Control V, right? Yeah, I know that.
Can do the thing.
Yeah. And it is the whole video is excellent. I clip out some stuff at the end. I present some stuff at the end that goes through the whole cluster of arrangements of karyotypes. I've known about them, but this is presented in a tremendously visual way. And it's absolutely worth watching. It's not very long. How long is this video? Wait a minute. Wait, just a cotton picking minute. Stop this thing. Wait.
Ooh. He's even got timestamps.
Yeah, it's good.
Oh, Dave's reminding me that I'm over on Captive Desk next week as well. It's in my calendar, but I'm not thinking of next week yet. I tend to go by week blocks.
So yeah, that's it. It's we'll figure it out.
All right, guys.
All right.
I'll see
All
you
right,
later.
everybody. Thank you so much for coming. I appreciate Ember jumping in at last minute. Nitty, thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the hell's going on because I can't see what's going on my screen, and that's the way this shit goes. It's just
I love the
that.
fireworks.
Yeah, I've got the fireworks. That was the Yarmouth Clam Festival. Yeah, that was recently. Just a couple of weeks ago. But yep, that's. See, this is the degree of sophistication I've got going. It's like the first time I used OBS was probably 6 weeks ago. So like, yeah, all right, it's a thing. Anywho, thank you guys, thank you chat, thank you everyone. Please do, if you haven't already, like this. If you haven't already, subscribe. Maybe hit the little bell thing, and so that you know that I'm gonna be spouting some bullshit on the internet.
Yeah, get those
And-
notifications.
Yeah, notifications, and leave a comment. If I was too harsh on what was that guy? God,
Skylar.
yeah, Skylar. Yeah, if I was too harsh on the guy, just let me know. I want to get better, and sometimes I just think that maybe I'm just too old for this bullshit. But whatever. Anyway, gonna say goodnight. Ending broadcast now. Hitting the button and going. Bye.